Welcome
Late.
back, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, wait a minute, is it me or you?
I thought I had the odds. I thought I had the odds.
We fucking up every time now. I always forget. You go then. We'll start
Okay.
over. Go ahead.
I'm odd, you're even. How about we both give whatever intro we were thinking of to see which one's funnier?
Nah, it's
No?
fine. It's fine. Go ahead. Go ahead. I really
Episode
wasn't even thinking anything.
episode 209 of Take Two Podcast, the show that's now been on for 4 years. It will not go away, similar to a fly just stuck in your hair. Tony, what's up, brother?
That's funny because that's actually part of where I was going with that was the fly. I was gonna say, Brian, you got a fly in your head because we're actually doing video today, so I could see you, and I was gonna go there. So that makes sense that we always have the same brain. Yeah, what's going on? It's a dreary, kind of rainy day here in the old VA. I'm sure it is over there. We got a visit from Delta, which is good because my grass needed some watering, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about today.
We have 11. 11. Why don't you just make 10 louder? Because we have 11
This one
reviews.
goes to 11.
This one goes. Hey, there's reviews for you guys that we're going to rock out today. We have I think there were 7 trailers we're going to chat about. Some casting, not a lot of news, DC Marvel, but enough to get the conversation going. And I get another interview with Mr. Alan Emrys. He's from across the pond as well. That's my second international interview out of the last 6. World
Nice.
traveling
Nice.
here. Well, my
You should just
Zoom.
move. Just pick up a move.
Don't frickin' tease me. I mean, today is like a London day. The
Yeah.
weather that we're having is very similar to that. But the show's going to rock and roll. Let's just jump right into it. Tone, you been okay outside of everything else?
Yeah,
Yeah.
same, you know.
Very
We
nice.
won't get into personal stuff too much today, I don't think, because I think we both have things we can say, but we'll keep our mouth shut.
In your Patreon feed right now is our Asian horror review. Tony forced me to watch a couple of horror movies, and it was Audition and Train to Busan. One of them I adore, I love. It's now ranked in my top movies of all time. Absolutely loved it. The other one, it was fine. I enjoyed it, but not so much. And this is the beginning of a series. These aren't going to be consecutive, but we're going to do some first watch, rewatch type episodes on Patreon going forward where Tony has to watch something I've seen and I enjoy, and then vice versa. And this was the first one, being spooky season. We knocked it out right now. And go patreon.com. $1 a month is all you need, and you get all of the content in there.
Yeah, it's kind of fun because, I think on this show a lot, we always stick with everything, like what's new, what's new, what's new. But almost every week I'm watching stuff that I've missed from years before or old stuff. So this Patreon gives us a chance to kind of go back and do that and listen to some of the old stuff. And I like the fact that we kind of give each other homework sometimes, but this is keeping us honest and like, okay, now you're going to have to talk to me about it. So I
Yeah.
know you watched it.
Yeah, yeah. Also, we started our spooky season back in August, but Tony is doing his 40 days of horror on the. I said it the other day to the wife. I was like, "Oh yeah, have you been keeping up with Tony's 40 days of horror?" And I said it fast, where it was like horrors. So she was like, "His 40 days of horrors? What?" I was like, "No, we do that during Valentine's Day. That's not this season." But folks, jump onto our socials, Instagram and Facebook, and all of these recommendations coming from Tony have been a lot of fun, and you'll see some synergy with the recent Patreon episode recently of the 40 Days of Horror that you're posting.
Yeah. I'm trying to mix it in when I can, but yeah, and I hope that there's a decent amount of stuff in there that maybe people are finding and have never seen or whatever. But I'm also still trying to keep it mainstream enough where people aren't like totally shut off from it and don't want to hear what I'm saying. So trying to balance that perfectly and kind of go back and forth between like 80s and current and whatever. So hopefully it's working out. Hopefully everybody's enjoying it. There's a little bit of interaction in there, not a ton, but I'm glad for what I am getting.
Speaking of interaction, out our social media every Thursday, you will find a brand new poll that you can vote on, comment on, tell your friends about, and now we have your results.
All right, so yeah, I forgot I was doing that. The poll for this week, I got my notes right here, and I'm like just sitting here like,
Dude, you got sleep last night. What is wrong with you today?
I don't know. I don't know. This is like that other week where I didn't and you did, and I think I was the one who was alert. I think it's flipped today.
Yeah.
So.
Weird.
I just threw it out there. What's the Halloween movie that you must watch every October to get you in that mood? I think we're deep entrenched in spooky season, like you said. And I just wanted to pull it out there and see, because I know there's a couple that I feel like I have to watch every year, the same movie every year. So I threw 4 choices up there: Halloween, Trick or Treat, Nightmare Before Christmas, and Hocus Pocus. And I was kind of surprised because this went back and forth, up and down throughout the couple days here, and we had a dead heat tie for Halloween and Hocus Pocus. Both got 37% of the vote on the old tweeter. So,
No kidding. That's
yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah. It is. I feel like Halloween used to be that go-to answer for the longest time.
Sure.
And then just recently, just in the last couple of years, people have really, been on that Hocus Pocus train.
Yeah.
where the fans came out and answered big on that. And then I also know Trick or Treat has kind of grown in the last few years. That's become a must watch for me every year, and that got 20% of the vote. So that was another close one there. Nightmare Before Christmas only got 6% of the vote. So I don't know. Maybe that's just because it's kind of a Christmas movie, kind of a Halloween movie. Maybe just watch it at Thanksgiving and you're good. I don't know. But then
Yeah.
the only shout out we got otherwise was on Instagram for that movie for Nightmare Before Christmas from Craig. So he said that's the one that he has to watch every year. And then Ryan L. Terry said all of them. And I was like, yep, you know what? I agree because that's probably how I am too. I validly watch all 4 of these movies every year. So
Cheater. You're a cheater, Ryan. That's what you are, pal. Yeah, I voted Halloween. I would personally, I always watch Halloween and Scream. Those are my two.
yeah,
Um,
that would have been like my 5 if I had to go more than 4. Scream would have been up there. So
nice, nice. I might be adding one to my list,
Train to
and that's
Busan.
yeah, okay. I might be adding two to my list. Invisible Man. I
Okay,
got
the new one. Yeah.
the new one. I got the wife to finally watch it last night. I
Okay.
talked her into it. She really enjoyed it. I will say I'm still high on Elizabeth Moss for some type of nomination. I still loved her performance. I thought it was great, but I want a little love more for Aldrich Hodge now. I thought he was
Oh
like
man.
I didn't think about it as much the
How
first
can
time.
I cannot when I watch that movie I cannot wait for him to be Hawkman. I want to see him and The Rock just looking studly next to each other. I can't wait.
So as it started off, that opening scene to Invisible Man is you just got to be quiet. Like you're just watching, and the more
Oh yeah.
quiet you are, the more eerie it is. And she started talking. I was like, babe, don't talk. This is a movie where you don't like just, kind of let it consume you. So then he pops on screen. I was like, hey, he's going to be Hawkman. She was like, I thought I couldn't talk. I was like, yeah, but Hawkman.
Yeah, but you don't listen to the show, and this is important information. So, yeah, did the dog bowl get you? The dog bowl gets me every time I watch that movie.
Mm,
Still, I know it's coming, and I'm like, God damn it! I think it has something to do with the sound design of that movie. It's so well done. Just those little things that you pick up on. So yeah, I agree. You do need to be quiet and watch that one. It's funny you brought up though, like rewatching and things that you watch every year. A couple for me, I usually do try and watch every year is Psycho and Exorcist. Those are some of my favorites,
cool.
and I introduced my son to those this year for the first time. So
Yeah.
that was big first time watches for him in our house. And then I also had him watch Blair Witch Project. So that was another one
Woo.
that he had never seen before. And that one got him a little bit. I think that one got him more than the other ones. And it's just, rewatching it, I don't know if it holds up as good as I remember,
Sure,
but
sure.
it's more unknown, that, like you said with Invisible Man, you're scared of kind of what you don't see or whatever. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that was fun, revisiting those with him. And we actually rewatched Ready or Not last night. The wife had never seen it. So I was like, let me
Nice.
jump on that because I love that movie and I still had a blast with it. It's so fun. So
Oh, cool, cool.
yeah.
But in my interview, it's funny you bring up Blair Witch. In my interview with Alan that you guys are going to listen to later, he brings up Blair Witch, and I was like, buddy, so wild. Of all the films you bring up for America, you bring up the one that was filmed 15 minutes from my house.
Yeah,
And he was like,
yeah.
really? And I was like, yeah, it's weird. You're in England and you bring up a film that is literally right there. So that's what you should take your son on is the old tour. Take him to
We talked
Burkittsville.
about it. We talked
Yeah.
about it after watching that because friend of the show, Justin from Epic Film Guys, just
Mm-hmm.
did that and had some photos and stuff there, trying to get some shots of the stuff that they did in the movie. And yeah, I was like,
Nice.
ooh, Burkittsville's not far. I think it's actually like an hour for me, but yeah.
Makes sense. Makes sense. On your way home, then swing by the stairs for Exorcist.
Yeah, yeah, we talked about that too because
Yeah.
we've been there, but he hasn't. So yeah, a lot
Gotcha.
of fun. It's always fun when you can kind of tie it in, and that's one of the things I love doing with these horror movies with him. Some people are like, oh, you shouldn't show young kids these movies, whatever. But I'm like, he gets into the behind the scenes and the making of it, and he understands the process. It's not like he's really being terrified. Like he was laughing at parts of Exorcist. I was like, what? Why are you laughing at this, dude? Like this should be scary to you. So
Yeah, at this
hopefully, I'm
point,
not raising a serial killer.
yeah, we need to have a combo with him now. At this point. All right, let's rock and roll into the show again, guys. Hit us up on those socials at Take Two Podcast for Twitter, Take2podcast at gmail.com. If you want to choose an email, 434-602-1931 is the phone number. For you YouTube watchers, thanks, man. We appreciate it. And we've been throwing a lot of YouTube stuff on there, and we try. I've now converted Tony. Like he's converting me into the horror. I'm converting him on camera. We're trying to get
I'll
this
do.
to you
I
more.
said I'll do it once a month. I'll do it. That's all I'm
Okay.
gonna give you.
You're welcome. Here's your monthly Tony. You're welcome, folks. Send in messages like, "Hey, Tone, you look great. Camera
Yeah.
does you well." I don't know. Try and help me out here,
Camera
folks.
doesn't add 10 pounds, which I don't believe. So I'm just glad I can't see myself right now. And I do need to shave too. So
That's quite all right. You guys have Instagram, Facebook, and if you do join our Facebook, also do the Take Two Universe. That's the group page because that has way more interactivity amongst us and amongst you guys. And I'll be honest, I haven't seen fans posting much lately. A
Yeah.
little disappointed.
I hope it's not me, like, controlling it there for this month. Go ahead and throw some stuff in there, folks, or throw
Yeah,
in your picks for horror stuff if there's stuff I'm overlooking or whatever too.
yeah.
Get interactive. Join up.
All right, we have 11 reviews, so I'm thinking we should probably get started with them sometime soon.
Let's do it.
First up is The Boys.
Season 2, 8 episodes wrapped up this week. What did you think about the season as a whole, but I guess the finale and implications going forward? Because we already kind of talked about the first 3 episodes when we did our first take.
Mm-hmm. Season as a whole, fully enjoyed it. I'm not sure if I loved it more than season 1, but not less than season 1. Like I was still good with it. From the final scene of episode 7 through the first 45 minutes of episode 8, the finale, could not take my eyes off the screen.
Okay.
Like that episode, like that final scene, which was crazy. I was like, holy crap. And then the front loaded part of the finale, I was just like, I was in. I was super in on what wanted to happen, what was going to happen. So it wrapped well for me, I thought, with just that last episode. Some deaths I wasn't expecting, some
Mm-hmm.
routes that they took, lefts and rights that I wasn't expecting, which I thought added a little bit of depth to the show, which I appreciate. I was like, oh, okay, we're going kind of an extra route here. And almost the one part that they unveiled with the villain, I thought we could have done more with. It was kind of like just in the last episode, oh, that whole time? So, and then we're kind of done with it.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So that part I was like, oh, we could have done more. But overall, I really loved it. I love the show.
Yeah, see, I'm a little more maybe tepid than you are on it. I'm kind of gonna go with some of your points. I like this season, but not as much as the first one for sure. I feel like the shock factor of the show is gone for me. Like
Mm.
I'm just not as impressed with whatever they're doing every week like I was in the first season. I was like, oh shit, they did that. This season, I'm not there. It's like, oh, okay, they're doing the same kind of thing they did last season. Like it's not as impressive. The shock factor is gone. However, at the same time, like you said, some of that stuff I felt like they could have expanded on. So the 8 episodes feel like enough for me. Like I wish we expanded it to 10 or 12.
Hmm.
And I had even said to somebody else, maybe they should do like a part 1, part 2 of the season and do like 6 episodes now. We'll get 6 episodes in 6 months. So that way we're not waiting a year for the show to come back, but we're also getting a couple more episodes. So
True,
I don't
true.
know. Maybe something like that should be like a changed model of the way that they release it. But overall, really good show, of course. I think this season is saved by Aya Cash, Stormfront. She controls this whole season. She's amazing. Homelander's great. He was great in the first season. He continues to be great this season. But Stormfront was the crux of the season for me. And she
Hmm.
was really the MVP, if you will, of the season. I still stand by my choice, though, that like we spend too much time on some of these ancillary characters that I really could care less about. I feel like Maeve, useless. A-Train, useless.
Hmm.
Mother's Milk, Kimiko, Frenchie, any of those characters I really don't care about. Like, just give me Homelander, Butcher, and Huey and Star Girl, whatever the hell her name is. So,
Starlight.
Starlight, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
So I like those main characters more. Like anytime we get off on those side tangents, Kimiko or whatever, and I just don't care as much, and I kind of tune out of the show a little bit, which is a shame. But yeah, overall, great episodes, great season. I'm trying to think of some of the things. I thought it was really cool. I don't know if they did it on purpose. I'm sure that they did. How current politics kind of really played into the show this season.
Hmm.
You're adapting a comic book that was made 15, 20 years ago, but then to make it so timely, I thought was really smart of the writing of the
Hmm.
show. I really liked the use of music. We talked about it in our first take, the Billy Joel, and that continued throughout the season.
Why
So
are
I thought
you
that was kind
57 years old?
of.
He's like, what? And she's like, it's always Billy Joel.
There's nothing wrong with that. Don't
Yeah.
don't let her dog you out there, Huey. I appreciated the music. I also was kind of let down that they gave us Giancarlo Esposito, but then didn't really use him much. Like I
Sure.
wanted more to expand on if we got more episodes. I mean, maybe they're going to go that route in season 3. Maybe we'll get more of him. We already know we're getting Jensen Ackles joining next year. Who else? The guy from Walking Dead, isn't he joining too next year? Negan or whatever, isn't he joining the cast? I thought
Oh,
we
Jeffrey
read.
D. Morgan. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So we got some things to look forward to, but I felt like the way they wrapped the season, I was almost like, okay, I'm done with this show. Like it
Sure.
felt very final in the show, even like you could just end the show now.
If it
So
didn't give you the reason for the head poppings, and kind
true,
of give that,
true. They did
if it
tease
didn't
that.
give you that, If that wasn't there, it could have just gone away.
Which I do like. I like that actress, and I was kind of like glad that she was in the show, but very like sparsely used. And then the way they teased that at the end, I guess spoiler alert if you haven't watched it yet, but
Sure.
the way they teased
Yeah.
a certain character's arc for next season, I was like, okay, cool, I'm in on that.
Valid.
Big moments of the season for me though, probably my favorites were lasering of tits. I thought that was a great moment. Um, and then also introducing Love Sausage. That was one of the things that I remember when this show started. I was like, "There's no way they'll ever do that," because I thought it was just too insane in the book
Hmm.
when I read the book, and then to see it on the show, I was like, "Holy shit, they went there! They went for Love Sausage." So that
Yep.
is the moment I think that I was like, "Okay, they did push the envelope on that for sure."
Sure. Sure. Yeah, that and then the end of episode 7. That was the one shock factor that was missing, or that you were just used to. Like they had to go that level with
Yeah,
that many
well, and
people.
we had talked about it last year though when we reviewed the show that the creator said that was the one thing Amazon wouldn't let them do. It was already out there, like in the press, so it was like, oh, well, you guys already talked about that. You kind of spoiled your own show, damn it.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Overall, a positive review. Overall, I enjoyed season 2. I am looking forward to 3, but I also feel we are getting 3 and 4, correct?
3 and 4, and then we got the spinoff as well. So
Don't water me down
let's
here,
hope it
here,
keeps it up.
boys. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I worry that you'll water me down at this point. Like if they said right now we're doing 3 and 4 and then we're done, I think I'd buy in
I'd be
more.
fine with that.
Yeah,
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 I'd be
yeah.
completely fine. Yeah.
It's the most tepid positive review we can give. Okay, so hit us up with
Sorry.
some. No, not at all. Let us know, folks, what your thoughts were on The Boys season 2 on all the socials. And now we're going to move along to Charm City Kings.
All right. Yeah, I'm excited here because I get to talk about a couple great movies, two of the best movies I've seen all year. I'm going to give you two reviews back to back here of the ones that I was really high on from this week, and one of them is Charm City Kings. I listened back to last week's episode and I said, oh, it's a new documentary on HBO. I was wrong, so I sit corrected. It was actually based on a documentary, and this is the live action version of it, the dramatic version of it. So
Yes.
this was released at Sundance back in January of this year, and this is basically looking at the dirt bike and quad kind of culture in Baltimore, in the inner city Baltimore. There's a bunch of kids that ride around on dirt bikes and stuff and ATVs throughout the streets, and it's a big thing, kind of little war between the cops and them and whatever. I really, really, really enjoyed this movie. Directed by Angel Manuel Soto, who actually liked my tweet about the show as well, so that was
Hey, hi,
nice.
Angel.
Um, but I loved actually for him. I looked it up. He hasn't really directed much, but this really had some nice scenes of action. There's like a car chase where the cops are trying to chase after these dirt bike kids. There's a
Mm-hmm.
couple
Mm-hmm.
scenes that are really well shot. It's a coming of age story that I haven't really seen before. It kind of falls into some of those tropes, and you expect the story to go certain ways and whatnot. But overall, it
Mm-hmm.
was just an enjoyable ride. Young kids, that are basically your leads of the movie, and they carry it on their own. They're not really well-seasoned actors or whatever, but they carry the movie. Meek Mill is maybe the only part of the movie I will give a little bit of a negative to. He plays a former kind of drug runner who's on probation now, so he's kind of out of the life, but he's serving as an inspiration for our main character. Our
Right.
main character's name is Mouse. He had a brother who died doing this stuff, being like in gangs in Baltimore, and now this character of Meek Mill, he goes by Blacks. He kind of serves as a inspiration or a mentor for this kid to kind of go the other way. Don't get into this stuff as much.
Sure.
But I feel like his acting isn't quite there. Like he's the one where I was like, okay, your performance isn't as great as everyone else around you. So that was a little bit of a shame. I will knock it down for that. Trayana Prince was really good in here. We saw Iraq, Beale Street. She was in Mad Men. She's going to be in the
Mm-hmm.
upcoming WandaVision. I think she's a really good actress. She was good in here as the mother to Mouse. She had
Mm-hmm.
one really good scene in particular with him. Um, and then also Will Catlett, who we like as Lala on Black Lightning. He kind of serves as the other end of the mentorship for Mouse because he's the cop. He's like a local cop in Baltimore
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is kind of looking after Mouse and kind of trying to steer him away from that life as well. So you kind of get like a dual version of that father mentor role, which that was what I was saying is a little unique. Usually you don't get that in movies. You get like one, and they're kind of on either side of the law, which I thought was interesting. Yeah, just a really, really good movie overall. It had emotion, a little bit of tragedy, whatever. Just really good writing, great soundtrack. This is actually executive produced by Jada and Will of the what was their thing? Entanglement of the Entanglements.
Oh,
Uh,
that's right.
And the story was co-written by Barry Jenkins as well. So a lot of like kind of behind the scenes work of like big name people in Hollywood, and I think it added that little bit just to elevate it. This easily could have been a boring, forgettable, and whatever. But I really liked it. It kind of stuck with me for the weekend, and I tried to tell a lot of people about it as much as I could. So just I don't know. I appreciated the layered drama of it, and I think I posted in my tweet that I said it played like another season of The Wire to me. That's what it reminded me of. Just really captured Baltimore and that feel of what The Wire did. So if you like The Wire at all, I suggest checking out Charm City Kings because it's very much right up there with that.
I can't add anything to what you said because I agree with every single word. The only thing I will add is that it was very real. The
Yeah,
movie had a very realness to it without beating you over the head with like, oh, this is our society. This is how it is. People need to understand this is how. No, it just told you the story without going down that road of pushing a political agenda, pushing any type of avenue. It was just like, nah, this is how it is. This is growing up in this area. It even shows the I was going to say entanglement, but the intertwining of the cops and these kids. A lot of times the cops like just they ain't hurting anybody. Yes, they're breaking the law right now, but they're not hurting anyone. Just let them have their fun, do their and it showed a better side to the police in the inner cities, and which I was like, oh, I kind of actually appreciate that. Then it also showed them interacting with the cops in a negative way. I enjoyed the acting. I thought the acting was great, and I went back and looked up the actors. I was like, how for the kids,
yeah.
how much experience do these guys have? And it's none. Like they
No.
put a lot of faith in these kids and these first timey, or you use that phrase, actors. And I thought they did a great job, especially the lead. I thought it was fantastic. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I might be not as high as you are on it, but fully recommend this as well. And I cheated because I saw your tweet and I was like, oh, now I know what Tony's watching for the weekend. So
No,
therefore, I'm
that's
gonna
good.
I'm gonna
That's
watch it too.
good. I didn't know that you watched it, and I'm glad that you did, that you listened to my tweet about it, because,
Yeah.
yeah, this was one of my big ones for the weekend that I really enjoyed. And another point that you said there with the cops and the kind of the drug culture or whatever, there's that one scene where Will Catlin and Meek Mill kind of get together and kind of
Hmm.
talk about Mouse's future. I really like that scene as well. I love the character of Swear to God. I thought he was really
Yeah.
funny, that kid. So
Yeah.
you got that little comedic element, but then you also kind of tied in with like, oh, there's a new girl in town. You get that like love interest, and I thought they played that really well. The kids played that perfectly, and you get
Hmm.
those sweet scenes of like that first love, first summer love kind of interaction between them. So yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on, and I think that's what made it so good, and just elevated for me to a different level. Like I said, I felt like looking at the poster or the trailer, maybe at first you could be like, it's kind of like forgettable. But once you get into it, I think, like you
Hmm.
said, strong performances, good writing, good story. It really took it to that next level for me. So I was like a 4 out of 5 on this.
And knowing the city of Baltimore as well as I do, I was kind of excited to kind of see Baltimore. No,
Yeah.
it stays up. It doesn't go to Fells Point or the Inner Harbor very much like it doesn't. Camden Yards. It
Oh,
stays
it
up.
stays
It's
in the
in
gritty
the
inner
city.
city. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
literally, which was good. Looking back, I'm glad the film didn't do it. I was bummed to not see sections that I knew more familiarly, but no, this is their world, and that's the world that they live in within this construct of these blocks of a major
Yeah.
city. Okay.
Yeah, and us working in DC too, this kind of culture is even poured over into DC. We see it at
Hmm.
work now with the dirt bikes and things like that
Sure.
taking over the streets. So,
Sure.
yeah, it's very real. It's very true to what's going on there. I liked in the credits too how they showed some of the real footage, and that's
Yeah.
taken from the documentary that inspired this. So, if you're interested, the documentary is called 12 O'Clock Boys, because that's what they try to accomplish with their wheelies is to get the front wheel up to 12 o'clock, right, or whatever. So,
And the credit, them all crashing.
yeah, the credits were kind of fun. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all them learning or trying to figure out. All right, moving along out of the streets of Baltimore and up to Brooklyn for 40-year-old version.
Yeah, now I was kind of high on this when I saw the trailer, and I think I told
Same.
you about it, and I said I've heard a lot of good reviews and good news, out of Sundance for this. This was nominated for the Dramatic Directing Award and won at Sundance, and then it was also nominated for the Grand Jury Prize at Sundance. And I heard from people that attended it. I mean, they were, standing ovations for Rada Blank, and Rada Blank is this 40-year-old woman. The movie is about her. It's really just a character study at its core, and she's kind of a washed up playwright. She was in the 30 under 30 list. Everybody had high hopes for her, and then she kind of went away and didn't really do much else after that. She's dealing with the recent loss of her mother, and she's all of a sudden just trying to reinvent herself at 40, and it's really about her and her experience and being a black woman, being 40 years old, and like you said, Brooklyn kind of plays into it too, a very New York movie.
Mm.
I really enjoyed this a lot. I really enjoyed it a lot. I thought it had a lot of great subtle humor to it. Like I said, just really a character study. Kind of reminded me of early Spike Lee, where we watched She's Gotta Have It recently. It
Hmm.
reminded me of
Hmm.
She's Gotta
Hmm.
Have It a lot.
Sure.
Just the black and white photography of it. Yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. The only negative I have for it is maybe a little long. It just goes over 2 hours, I think. So if
Yeah.
you would have maybe cut 10 minutes off of it, I think it would have been a smoother, tighter movie. But I think the reason it runs long is because of the writing. The writing is so well done here, and they really develop every single character. There's a lot of background kind of ancillary characters that get their little shining moments, even down to like the homeless guy that lives across the street from her has a great scene in the movie.
Hmm.
Her
Hmm.
agent is actually well fleshed out. He could have easily been just a caricature character, but he has some scenes that kind of flesh him out and make him a little bit more,
Hmm.
than one
Hmm.
dimensional or whatever. So I really liked it. I loved her rap scenes. I thought they were really funny. The lyrics were really smart. Rodimus Prime, when she starts
Yeah.
rapping, was it a white man with a black woman's butt? How you hold all that back there? What the fuck?
Yeah.
I don't know. I love it. I thought it was hilarious, and I think Rada Blank. I hope that she is like a new voice that's really popped onto the scene, and I'd like to see what she does next because I think she's, like I said, has the promise of something like a Spike Lee, and just her voice is very unique. And the writing, again, really elevates this movie up to the next level for me. Another great soundtrack as well. Like I said, besides her songs that she features in there, and then there's a couple other little songs that kind of play throughout it as like funny too. There's one
Hmm.
Pound the Pound Cake, which plays a couple times. She
Yeah.
actually wrote that for the movie.
Oh, really?
And then I love and then I love the skewering of kind of Broadway culture. There's a whole scene near the end where it's all kind of skewering a play, to some extent, and the songs that they use in there I thought were somewhat funny. Like I said, just kind of subtle humor. I guess a little bit of a negative would be how one note every white character is in the
Yeah.
movie. It's
Sure.
very much stereotypical of white people, and that's whatever. I get it. I get it why it's written that way, but that's a little bit of a letdown for me, I guess. But there were some really funny scenes there, again, with theater culture, with some of those
Hmm.
white characters, and oh, I had to leave that early. Don't worry, the mockingbird didn't die or whatever.
Yeah.
Like just funny little lines that were thrown in there. I thought or they were going to do a racially diversified version of Fences. Like what? Like just little things that were thrown into the movie really cracked me up. And like I said, subtle. You really have to pay attention to the writing to get it.
Hmm.
But I was very high on this one. Again, same thing as Charm City Kings. I went kind of 4 out of 5 on this. Loved it. Love Rada Blank. Can't wait to see what she does next.
All 4.5 out of 5. I really liked it as well. She's fantastic. Rodimus Prime, it was great. You're right. There was some length to it. Maybe some of the student stuff, the student interactions with each other, maybe could have been trimmed. I mean, okay, but still, it still played into every aspect of the character study that was developing with her. I thought to the stereotypical white people, I did feel the scene where the director, who then they had to get a white woman to be the director, I mean that the almond milk is the gentrification of the
Yeah,
community,
yeah.
and all the black people in the room were just like,
Whoa,
"Oh no! Oh no!
what's going on?
Fire alarm! Fire alarm at the Tony house!"
I wonder if I should check on that. Hang on a second.
Pause, everybody. We're gonna pause for one moment.
What's going on?
This is a fire alarm break. We've never had a fire alarm break in the history of Take Two podcasts. Top movies with fire in them. Backdraft, probably number one. This Is Us TV show. He dies because of a fire. That's not a movie. Let's see. Let's see. Well, Lion King, yeah, sort of. What was I thinking? There's another fire one where someone dies in a fire. There's lots of ones that die in fire. Let's see. Human Torch, covered in fire. Flame on, flame off, flame on, flame off. Um, Trying to think of a lot of fire things. So, hope everything's okay. I didn't realize he had Star Wars blankets. That's pretty cool. This is Tony's bedroom, by the way. In case you guys are curious, he does have a twin bed where he sleeps under his Star Wars blankies. I'm actually kind of jealous about that, to be honest with you. Not even judging one bit. Here at Take Two Podcast, we're glad that you guys are joining along. We do hope that you send more stuff on our socials. We would love to hear from you folks. And while we're at it, ratings, reviews, they are most important. We got a new rating review recently, and it does help our show grow. We do appreciate that. The Patreon is a big deal. We have a lot of episodes coming out, and you're getting at least bi-weekly episodes there on the Patreon. Man, I can picture a fire one in my head right now, and I can think of like 6 others, but I don't want to say them because I want to think of the one I was just thinking about. So, Girl on Fire. That's like the name of a movie and a book. That's from Hunger Games, I believe. And so hopefully his house is not on fire. All these jokes will not be good. Sounds like he's returning. Don't see any smoke. This could be good, could be bad. What if he comes back and just his
All
entire shoes
right,
just singed
my
off?
bad. Huh?
Nothing at all. I was naming movies and TV shows that had fire in them while you were
Oh,
gone.
my
I,
bad.
I
Yeah.
only got up to like
I don't
three.
know. Maybe it's I just redid my fire alarms recently, and maybe they're just more sensitive because they're new. I don't know.
Oh,
Because my
okay.
son literally cooked bacon. That's all it was.
Ooh, lovely.
Yeah, I
Nice.
went downstairs. I smelled bacon. That must be
It
it.
would have
So
been better if you came back right now with a piece in your hand and you're just like, we're good.
if I came in with like a fire extinguisher,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. That's crazy. But hey, at least they work.
Yes, that is the good point. And folks, don't forget to change the batteries in your fire alarms every 3 to 6. Is it 3 months or 6 months? 3 months, I
I think
think.
it's 6 months. I think you do it
6.
with the time change, right?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No,
Hey,
I
if you,
put all new ones in. These are brand new. The
right.
old ones are 20 years old.
And a good fire extinguisher on every floor of your home is good safety to practice. Okay, swinging it back to.
Sorry for
No, no, no,
interrupting. Were
no.
you done with your 40-year version thoughts? I'm sorry.
The only thing I will add is oh, I'm sorry. So when she does about the almond milk or whatever, and all the black people in the room are just like, huh? But then the white actress is like, yes, yes,
Yeah.
spot on. I thought it was hilarious. I was like, that's just good stuff. The only thing with Rada, she just felt very authentic to me, very authentic. And when she's in conversations where she just, they were saying something that was off-putting or disagreeing, she would kind of pause and kind of have like, well, uh, about that, just like that. And I loved it. Like I felt like, yeah, that's exactly what she was thinking was then being expressed. But you could see her like, well, let me hold it back, especially with the white producer. She was like, that's not really how life works, but that comedy I was just buying into. I thought she was great. I can't wait to see the next thing from her. I'm very intrigued to see her as a writer. This is all about her being a writer, and so I'm all aboard. Whatever else she has coming up next.
Yeah, yeah. And I think, like you were saying, she was just very authentic. I'd like to see her do some sort of series because I feel like her writing, she's very in depth. I think it could be an expanded thing that I'd like to see her do. Um, and like I said, all the background characters just getting more than you would think that they would. I even like the scene, with her producer. Her producer's very quiet, doesn't have much to say throughout the movie, but he kind of plays an important role for her and bringing this awakening out of her. And then when he takes her to see, the rap battle, I thought that was a really cool scene. I was like, oh, we're getting a little like 8 Mile kind of feel here. This is
Yo,
fun.
yo, yo,
Yeah,
yo,
yeah,
yo, 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 yo.
yo. If you were, and that was the other thing I was going to mention. The rest of the movie, I feel like too, it was kind of a good advantage for her to cast pretty much unknowns in all those roles too. It's not like there was any other real big stars in here, so I
No,
think that helped on her. And maybe I'm not saying that as an ego kind of thing for her, where she wanted to be the focus, but I think it's smart not to go in with expectations of certain people, and it made it feel more realistic, more gritty.
yeah.
And yeah, I love it. So if you're on the fence about 40-year version, we're both telling you go check it out. I think it might be an Oscar player. I'm hoping for screenplay. I would love to see that.
I would too. I'm fully on
Yeah,
board. I subscribe to that. Okay, here comes nope, not hot take. First take. Sorry, I'm gonna do fire puns the rest of the day since your house didn't burn down.
yeah, thankfully.
First take. Watch. You got it for this week. What'd you see here, pal?
Well, so I followed up the Haunting of Hill House was a big show I loved last year on Netflix from Mike Flanagan. I spoke really big on that show last year. Every episode was a masterpiece of filmmaking, of suspense, of storytelling, performances, everything. Every episode I thought was great and could have stood alone as a film in and of itself. So I loved that show. I was really high on it. So I was pumped to see that he was coming back for another season, Haunting of Bly Manor. But then I was let down a little bit when I looked at it and it said, oh, well, he's only really involved in the pilot episode and he's going to give it off to other people. And yeah, some of the people are coming back, but not all the people from last season. They're trying to do the anthology style, something like American Horror Story, use the same actors all the time. So you do get Henry Thomas back from the first season, but he's only
Okay.
been in one scene, I think, so far in the first two episodes. And then Carla Gugino is also back, but only just kind of as telling a story and popping in and narrating here and there. So those two characters were really strong in the first season, so that sucks that they're not back. The only thing I will say is Victoria Pedretti so far is really the lead of the show. She plays basically an au pair that comes to live at this house to take care of these kids that were their father and mother have died tragically, and their uncle, who plays Henry Thomas, plays the uncle, is now taking care of them. So he hires an au pair to come help out while he's at work. So that's the gist of the story there. but she is really good so far. She is the shining star of the show. Great performance. She played Nell in the Hill House show last year, so it's good to see her get elevated a little bit more. She was really good there, but not the focus last season. So this season, she is the focus of the show. I've watched the first 2 episodes. I gotta say, sadly, maybe this is a hot take. It's not as good. Not as good as Hill House was. Like I said, every episode of Hill House I loved. This one just wasn't as good for me so far. I'm gonna stick with it and watch it. I just don't know if it's because I know the story so much already, because this is an interpretation of Turn of the Screw, which is a novel by Henry James. I actually read the novel years ago, and I've seen multiple movies that have reinterpreted that source as well. So it's like when you go into it already kind of knowing where the story's going, some of the suspense just isn't working for me. There's some creepy little moments in the background. You see a ghost or whatever, things like that, but it's just not as good as Hill House. I'll stick with it and finish it out, and maybe it'll surprise me and get better. But based on the first 2 episodes alone, I'm like, it's okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, moving along. Good news is, folks, you will not have to take ladder 49 up to room 104, but Tony did get to watch it and finished up that season.
Wow, I got like over an hour that's left, huh? All right, Room 104. This is a show that I've been high on HBO for the last 4 years, and it just wrapped up its entire series run. So last season had 12 episodes. This is created from the Duplass brothers, Mark Duplass and his brother, and they have their hand in a lot of the writing of almost each episode. I think they've directed a few of the episodes as well. But the thing about this show is it takes place in a hotel room, room 104. Every episode takes place in a hotel room. But then each episode, they do different things to make it work. Sometimes it's a completely different story, but it's still somehow tied to that hotel room, this room 104. So in season 4 alone, you have different people every episode, different actors every episode, different stories. So some of the standout episodes from this season had Dave Bautista, Kevin Nealon, Gary Cole, Jillian Bell, and then you even have like an full-on animated episode. So they do something different with each and every episode every season. So sometimes it's very heavy, serious material, dramatic, relationship stuff. Other episodes are completely ridiculous and silly and just over-the-top comedy. Sometimes they've had almost downright horror elements, like a horror movie episode. So it's always just kind of pushing the boundaries, I think. And that's why I love this show so much, the creativity and the amount of people that they've been able to get every season, different stars every season to come in and do these one-offs. And it's always interesting to me. So if you've never seen the show, give it a chance. It's on HBO. 4 seasons now, 12-episode seasons. Each episode is less than 30 minutes. So you can pound through a season in a night if you want to pretty easily. And I highly recommend it. I've always been a fan of the show, and I'm sad to see it go. I wish they could have kept it going, but I don't know. I love the Duplass brothers. I think that they are really onto something, and they're very creative, and a lot of the stuff that they do is just like nobody else is doing right now, and this just continues to show me that. So check out Room 104 on HBO. It's a great show.
I'm glad that this one was good for you because you have championed the show since the start.
Yeah, I feel like all the seasons have been consistent. They've all been really good. I can't say, this season was better than this one or whatever. It's really down to the episodes. Like some episodes I like more than others, and that's just easy with any show. But there was really, really good episodes in every season of the show, so it's worth your time.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, the big release on Netflix this weekend was a huge hit. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to try and sell you on this film. Okay. Not because it was good, but because I'm just going to see if I can find a way to sell you. Remember we had that shtick where we try and find a movie and try and sell it or something you didn't like, but then try and sell it? Whatever. Mm-hmm. That's what we're going to do here today. We're going to be talking about Hubie Halloween. This is Adam Booby-Doo Sandler's newest project. Buddy, Ray Liotta, Julie Bowen, Steve Buscemi, Ben Stiller, Kevin James, a bunch of more people, China, Shaq. It's loaded, okay? It's a loaded freaking cast that we have inside of this thing. Parodies of Scream, Halloween, Hocus Pocus, Friday the 13th, Jaws, Clue, movies that you love. This has little parodies, little throwbacks to each and every one of those films. All of this loaded cast, they're inside of this movie. It's Halloween. It's spooky. I have nothing else good to say, so let me tell you this. The premise of Adam Sandler plays this guy. He's in a small town. He's in Salem. He lives in Salem, but he has been a loser. This dorky dude who whatever. He's just a dork. And so everyone's made fun of him his entire life. He still lives with his mom, who's June Squibb, another one. But they've all made fun of him. There's only been one person the entire time that has liked him, and that's Julie Bowen's character. But Adam Sandler's a dork. He never, said anything to try and advance this. So he now grows up, still lives with his mom. Everyone still makes fun of him, but he's still like this great guy. He's still this super nice guy, and he super loves Halloween. But his goal on Halloween is to make sure that everybody's safe. That's the thing. Now, someone escapes from a mental institution, i.e. Halloween, gets out, is on the loose. There's a possible Wolfman, what have you. So they have all these characters that are in there that's like it can be fun. The premise of this, I don't hate. The story, I don't hate. What I hated and what took me completely out of this film was Adam Sandler.
That's what I expected.
Listen, had he played this straight or just like a little off, I think this movie might have been received better. But he plays this character, Hubie, who talks to the Milton safely, and then he talks. And
he's Waterboy. He's Waterboy.
100%. He's like Waterboy grown up, if that makes sense.
If Kathy Bates would have been available instead of June Squibb, this would be an easy sequel to Waterboy.
It's Waterboy, but a Halloween. 100%. And legit, multiple times throughout this, I was thinking, well, if he wasn't playing this cheesy character, if he was just playing a dorky guy, I actually might have enjoyed this a little bit better, but every time he spoke, it took me out of it. I was like, well, is he Waterboy again? Is he Forrest Gump? Is he like really pulling you out? Where then everyone else, you're like, well, I don't blame these people for making fun of him or bullying him because he just acts a certain way. The movie itself is not bad. It's just that character just really destroys it. Really breaks it down for me. There's some good stuff with the kids and some Halloween things, and there are a couple spooky moments where it does try and spook you. It does have a solid PG-13 rating, which was weird to me. That was the other weird part because it easily could have been marketed for kids. Yeah. And be like, hey, this is kind of cheesy and fun. And it's like anytime he rides his bike down the street, that people throw things at him. You don't see them throw him, but it's like a dead fish, and then eggs, and at one point, like people throw hard-boiled eggs, and he catches them with his water bottle, this thermos that he has, shakes it up, drinks it, and you're like, all right, that's wild. But then he instantly projectile vomits as he's riding the bike. He just catches them, and there's like,
has to have that gross out stuff, right?
So a lot of that humor, yeah. Like this movie was like, oh, I wanted you to be good. Like it was so close. The other catcher it's a little lengthy, a lot lengthy for what it should have been. Yeah, for what
it's like an hour 40 something, right?
Yeah, a solid $140. I forgot to write it down. I did not.
We were on the fence. Yeah, we were on the fence. Almost watched it twice. I tried to get the kids and the wife to watch it this weekend. Didn't happen. So they were not sold in the trailer. They're like, nah.
And I don't blame them. I don't blame them for not being sold on the trailer. I'm just there's elements where I can see that some people, and I saw some of our good podcast friends loved this movie.
Really?
And and a couple people were like, I'm crying laughing in the opening scene. And there is some decent comedy. You do have to enjoy the potty humor, the Adam Sandler humor, which we all enjoyed back when we were 12. Back when we were 12, Adam. Grow up.
Exactly. And I think that's what this comes down to. I enjoyed Adam Sandler back in the day, but it's just like, come on, buddy. You just did Uncut Gems.
Yeah.
You should be on a high, moving on to doing different things. Don't go back and do this crap again.
And he easily sold all of his buddies, every single one of his Adam Sandler friends. He easily sold every single one of them on, hey, let's do this fun, cheesy Halloween comedy. Kevin James has this big cheese ball beard. And I'm thinking with Kevin James, I'm like, you just did Becky.
Yeah.
Where you showed us
another step in a different direction. Yeah.
Yeah. And now you know exactly what happened. Adam was like, hey, I've got the script. We're going to put the whole cast, get the entire grown-ups crew in here. What's her name that plays Kamala Harris on SNL?
Maya Rudolph, yeah.
She's in here. Meadows. It's loaded. It's loaded with people. But I just wish he didn't play the cheesy end of that character because it actually could have been cute. It actually could have been fun.
I was most surprised by seeing Ray Liotta in the credits. I was like, really? Ray Liotta? Like, why is he in here?
And he plays a very campy role, very over the top. He's the biggest bully of them all. And, plays like if Goodfellas then moved to Salem and he was just like this jerk now in Salem, a mobster. Mm. If you have any interest, guys, check it out. My only flaw is the length of it, but here's the thing I was going to say, if you can sell it for the kid, if the kids are interested, but it's 13, it's got a little language in it, but that surprised me. I was surprised that they didn't keep it just completely clean so they could go that route and at least market to everyone so they could be like, oh, the whole fam can sit down and watch this. It's kind of funny. With
he's kind of in that weird space now where it's like he could sell that. You know, you get your Hotel Transylvania movies, so
Mm-hmm.
kids know him and like him in that way. Yeah, it's kind of a
Sure.
weird spot he's in, where he's doing R-rated uncut gems, he's doing Hotel Transylvania. Like this kind of goes in the middle, but it's like, you
Yeah.
can't really sell the family. Yeah, I get you. So
It's not a bad movie, but it's definitely not something that I'm going to sit here and be like, ooh, hustle out and watch this. Or no, I'm not adding it to my must Halloween watch list, that's for sure.
no.
All right, we got the fun part here coming up of your reviews because Tony has 5, count them, folks, 5 more reviews coming up. He's going to knock all of these out in a row. I'm going to go take a quick nap. So, JK, what are you drinking there? What you got in the morning? Is that your coffee?
No, water. Had my coffee earlier, just some water. Gotta get hydrated for these next 5 reviews. I'm gonna try and keep them quick, 20 minutes or less for 5 movies. I think I could do it.
Wait, for a review?
No, for all of them. I'm gonna try and do it. So.
Okay.
And I'm gonna continue with the Spooky Spookersons, keep that train rolling with my next 2 movies. And the first one is The Wolf of Snow Hollow. And this was a new release this week. I think it may have gotten a small theatrical release, but it was day and date, so you could get it PVOD as well. I was excited to see it because I love Jim Cummings. Jim Cummings was the writer-director of this thing. He also stars in it. He did a movie, I think it was last year, maybe 2018, called Thunder Road. Maybe it was 2018, Thunder Road, that I really loved. I think I didn't see it until the beginning of 2019. That's what it was. But I loved that movie. I thought he was great in it. Another kind of just unique new voice. I love seeing these new filmmakers and somebody who can write, direct, and do all that and star in it. I always give them like an extra bump up. So once I saw that movie, I was like, all right, anything this guy does, I want to pay attention to. So, and I tweeted that out. I was like, ooh, got to check out Wolf of Snow Hollow. Got a little love on that one from him as well. So thank you, Jim Cummings, for the love on the tweet. I will say a little bit let down, though, so that sucks. For as high as I was on Thunder Road, this just wasn't as good to me. Because he's trying to make a scary movie. He's trying to make it a genre movie, and so the emotionality and things that were in Thunder Road were a little lacking here. You can't really sell that as hard when you have basically a giant werewolf man killing people. Is the crux of the movie. He's a cop in this town that all of a sudden people start getting killed and they think it's a werewolf that's killing them. So that's really all the story. You can't really get much more than that. He has a little bit of side story stuff to add the emotionality. He's a recovering alcoholic. He's divorced, so he's dealing with custody things with his daughter, and he's got like a teenage daughter. And then his dad is the chief of the police department, and he's about to retire, whatever, which is great. The other reason I wanted to see it is the last screen performance for Robert Forster, so I was all in on seeing that as well. So for as much as I kind of maybe built this movie up for myself, and I really wanted to see it, it was a little bit of a letdown. However, it was really well made. I will say it was kind of a step up from Thunder Road as far as the filmmaking aspect, with some beautiful high-end kind of drone shots or crane shots, things like that, different angles, different things that I noticed his growth from one movie to the next as a filmmaker. So I really appreciated that. Yeah, it's just, I wonder if he's got more in him, though, as far as his performances and what he does and what he writes for himself, because he plays almost the same kind of role as he does in the first movie I saw, Thunder Road, and this movie. He's almost the same exact character. And he kind of has little fits of rage. He has like anger issues, whatever. And it's almost the same thing he did in Thunder Road. So that was a little like one notice to me, and I wish maybe in his next project, if he's going to include himself again, write himself differently, or maybe just do a writing directing thing and don't star in it. Like, let me see what you can do in that way. So, yeah, I don't know. It was an okay movie. It wasn't super scary to me. I thought it was well done, but overall not as impressive as his other movie, Thunder Road. So that's my review on Snow Hollow. Yeah.
Bummer. Okay.
It was kind of sad to see Robert Forster, though, in his final role. So, and especially being like that old kind of father and dealing with health issues of himself. It was just like, oh, man, I miss Robert Forster. So,
yeah.
All right, next I moved on to Vampires versus the Bronx, which actually I recommended this to a few people at work and talked to a few people at work about it, and they said they had watched it or wanted to watch it as well and thought it was good. So some positive reviews on that already.
Nice.
And this was a new release this weekend on Netflix. It's kind of more marketed towards younger kids, I think, but it is a solid PG-13 movie because it's vampires in the Bronx, and there's a lot of blood and things like that, and there's language in it. So this is very similar to something like Charm City Kings, where it's a bunch of young kid actors who are tasked with controlling this movie. And it starts off with these, I think it's like 3 main boys, and then we kind of add like another girl to the mix later in the movie, and they're just trying to save their town in the Bronx, this little area of the Bronx where it's being gentrified. This company's coming in, buying up a bunch of properties, and they don't want it to go that way. They want to keep it true to their roots. And so that's the initial crux of the movie, but then you find out that the company that's buying them up are vampires. So then they uncover this whole vampire it kill off these vampires. So I had a lot of fun with this movie. I thought it was cool, had some cool nods to vampire lore and culture. The company that is buying up the stuff is Murnau Company, which is the director of Nosferatu from the 1920s, was named Murnau. So I thought that was a nice little touch. This is actually a Lorne Michaels produced project, so I thought that was cool that he kind of threw his hand in there. And like I said with Charm City Kings, when you get a young, unknown cast of actors like that to control your movie, I thought that was cool. I thought they did a really good job. There was a little bit of underlying commentary on kind of race and like I said, gentrification of these neighborhoods in the Bronx and whatnot. So that was interesting. They didn't really overdo it with you, so that was good. You had Zoe Saldana show up in here, kind of a cameo role, really only in like one scene.
Okay.
Method Man, it was hilarious. Method Man was a priest. I'm like, really?
Interesting.
Shea Wiggum is in here. I really like Shea Wiggum. Chris Redd comes in from SNL. He adds some comedic, qualities to the movie. The kids watch Blade in the movie to kind of learn how to fight vampires. I thought that was fun.
Huh.
And it had just like Lost Boys kind of vibes to me. I recently rewatched Lost Boys. It kind of reminded me of that.
Nice.
Or something even like Spider-Verse, like the way that they did the culture of New York and these kids and Hispanic culture and things like that are injected into the film. It reminded me of something like Spider-Verse, the way they did with Miles Morales and whatever. So I really liked it. I thought it was a really enjoyable movie. I think I went 3.5 out of 5 on this one. A lot of fun. I actually liked it better than Wolf of Snow Hollow, actually. So there's my two kind of spooky movies that I watched for the weekend, and the way that those played out. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So otherwise,
I'm sorry. That was Vampires versus Brooklyn?
Vampires versus the Bronx, and it's on
versus
Netflix.
The Bronx. Sorry, yes. I was wrong borough.
New release, new release on the old Netflix this past weekend. So, all right, so one I was actually kind of looking forward to as well. I saw the trailer. I think we talked about it a few weeks ago. Save Yourselves, and this was a hit in Sundance, January last year. This is a modern kind of hippie New York couple that they decide they're addicted to their cell phones, they're addicted to technology, they need to unplug for the weekend, go off to the cabin, live in the wilderness, upstate New York, whatever, and kind of reassess their lives. That sounds a little deeper and darker than it is. It's not really a drama. It's a comedy sci-fi film. So as they're away at this cabin, all of a sudden they start encountering, there's like these weird puffs around, like these large puffy looking things, and like, what is that? We don't know what that is, whatever. And they kind of whatever, just move on. And after a couple days in the wilderness, the girlfriend is like, really needs to reconnect with the world, turns her phone back on, and decides or finds out that the world has been invaded by aliens. And she has all these voicemails and all these things of family trying to reach out to them. And that's what these little puffs, the aliens are these like little puff balls that arrive on Earth. And it's kind of fun. It's kind of a fun, funny little sci-fi movie. And I think the movie really only works if it's carried by your leads. I think the leads have some great comedic talent and like chemistry between each other, and the way that they play the modern hippie, like New Yorker, like they don't know how to do anything when they get to the woods, and they're in like survival mode, and then they're like, we can't chop wood, we didn't bring enough food, like whatever, all these things, and they just like weren't, so I thought they played up that angle of it good. It was okay, man. It was okay. There's a couple scenes where there was like crazy things that kind of go on in the background that they're oblivious to, that pertain to the aliens, and a little like gory stuff even, which was kind of included in there, which surprised me. They end up encountering a baby. There's like an abandoned car where these people have been killed by the aliens, and there's a baby still there. So then they take on the baby, and they're like taking care of the baby. That kind of plays into it. It was a little slow up front, so I will say stick with it. Like,
okay.
And I could see how someone would maybe be annoyed by them being like the modern hippie New York kind of people that they are. Maybe that would be a little off-putting. But once you get past like that, and they get to the woods, and then I think it picks up a little bit of the comedy and even the horror elements. There was a little bit of horror elements, but it's mostly like a sci-fi comedy, and it was fun. Hour 40 minutes ish, not bad. I don't know if I'd pay PVOD price for it, but it's a decent little movie. So.
Gotcha. Okay.
All right, and then the last two things I want to talk about was the Blumhouse. Welcome to the Blumhouse, Amazon Prime's big thing they're doing this month. They're putting out 2 movies every week in collaboration with Blumhouse. So I was excited to watch this. I was like, cool, we're going to get 2 Blumhouse horror movies every week throughout October. I'm down. So I watched the first 2, and that was Black Box and The Lie. I know I made you watch the trailer for Black Box, and you were kind of creeped out This is where we saw the people with the blurry faces and the bending
Yep.
all over and whatever.
Thanks.
So this stars Felicia Rashad and Mamadou Athi, who I loved in Uncorked. If you still haven't watched Uncorked, go watch that on Netflix now. It's great. And the gist of this story is this guy was in an accident. His wife is killed in the accident. He suffers brain trauma where he has no memories really. He's having a hard time remembering his wife. He has a daughter and he doesn't really remember much about what happened before the accident. So he's going to this doctor played by Felicia Rashad to help him, and she's helping him almost kind of through like a virtual reality thing. Reminded me of something like Lawnmower Man back in the day, and he has to get in the Virtuosity, one of those. He has to get in the VR helmet, and she helps him go into like his subconscious and his mind and reassess these memories and try and reestablish his memory through that. And that's where we saw the creepy stuff. You see the people with no faces, you see the guy bending around, whatever. It's all within his subconscious of his memories as she's trying to extract that. But, however, there is a little bit of a twist this movie that ends up happening, and I didn't see it coming. So I will give it that for the twist that I didn't see coming. I will give it some props. But overall, I will say I didn't love this movie because I thought these movies were going to be horror movies, and I really didn't think this one was horror. It was more just like psychological thriller, I guess. Like it never really got to a horror movie for me, so I was a little bit let down. It played more like a Black Mirror episode, which is fine. I mean, I like Black Mirror, but I was just hoping from Blumhouse. So, and like I said, the twist was sold well, so I will give it a props there. And then there was also some good kid performances again here. His daughter in the movie actually has a decent kind of helps sell the movie there. And then I wanted to shout out Troy James, the guy who plays Ragdoll and Flash, is the guy who does all the contortion-y stuff in here again. So that was cool to see him back. I don't want to give away the twist, though. If you're interested in this movie at all, check out Black Box. Maybe I shouldn't even have said that there was a twist. I don't know. But that was probably the best part of the movie for me. And I like the performances. It's always good to see Felicia Rashad in anything, I feel like. So.
Man, you mentioned Ragdoll, and it made me think of the two little girls in Lovecraft Country, last week's episode.
Oh, and Bopsy and Topsy, or whatever they're called. Yeah.
Creepy as hell. It scared the crap out of me. I was like, thanks.
We will talk about that one next week for sure.
Yep.
All right. So last, like I said, The Lie was the other Blumhouse Amazon Prime project that came out this week. And this was starring Joey King, Muriel Enos, and Peter Sarsgaard. Not Skarsgård, but Sarsgaard. There's lots of Scars and Sars out there. And this was actually released at TIFF back in 2018 and has never found release yet. So right there, that was like, alert, something's wrong with this movie. Sure. I guess this is a remake of a German film called We Monsters. This is written and directed by Venus Sood, who did The Killing. I really liked The Killing show. I want to say Muriel Enos was involved in that show as well, so that's where she kind of ties in. And I guess this is loosely based on the Amanda Knox murder case, if you remember that story a few years ago. Yeah. So Muriel Enos and Peter Sarsgaard play divorced parents. Their daughter's Joey King. She's going off to a camp for the weekend with her friend. All of a sudden something happens. They go into the woods. One of them comes out, one of them doesn't. And so then the rest of the movie is what do parents do to kind of cover up the tracks of what their daughter did, possibly. We think possibly she killed off her friend, and now the parents go to these extra lengths to try and cover up for her. And again, a little bit of a twist to this one, but the twist actually kind of pissed me off. So I don't know. This movie was fine, decent performances. I really like Joey King. I loved her on The Act on Hulu. She ended up being Emmy nominated for that. I thought she was great. I think she has a good career ahead of her. She's only like 21, so I think she's going to be really good. And I like Peter Sarsgaard. He brings a really intense emotionality to every role I feel like he's in. So I like the performances. The story was okay. It just wasn't a great movie for me. Again, not a horror movie at all. Like this is, if anything, just more psychological drama, whatever. It's just I was hoping for horror out of Blumhouse, so that's why I'm kind of down on both of these reviews, and they were just okay to me. So we'll see what next week's reviews entail. I'll watch those as well and get back to you.
Gotcha. Okay. Very nice. Okay.
Did I keep those quick enough?
Hey, talk as long as you wish, sir. This is our podcast. We can do whatever the hell we darn want, okay? Anywho, but folks, don't forget, we always put the show notes our timestamps if you ever do need to jump around and what have you. And sometimes we do some spoilery things, so do check those because we go the extra mile to give you those timestamps just in case you need them. But hey, that wraps up our 11 reviews. Now we're going to jump back across the pond, go over to London, England, and chat with a friend of ours, Alan Emrys. But hey, I'll be honest with you, with some of these friends we've been making with the actors, one guy I knew very well and a couple other people we've conversed with. But Alan here just came to us completely randomly, so I had no idea what to expect. I wasn't as excited for the interview because I know nothing about the guy. We wound up chatting for well over almost 25 minutes because he just turned out to be just a cool guy, very comfortable talking to him, very nice guy, was very chatty. We talked, I felt bad because we talked a lot about not acting things at some points. He actually gives a couple of London history lessons, like if you ever visit, where you should go, best spots to eat. He also, he worked as a bartender in his off time, as most actors do when they're trying to get work. And I had mentioned to him, with our What's in the Glass segment. So he's all about coming on our show now, maybe once a month and just doing a What's in the Glass segment, teach you how to make new cocktails, things like that. So we'll have to chat with him about that later. But check this out. Here's the highlights of my interview with Mr. Alan Emrys. He's a great guy. He was in the movie Host. He's in a bunch of other stuff coming up. So
I was pretty pumped about that you watched it just because of your interviews. I was like, yes.
Yeah. In it, we talk about, it's really funny. He mentions that then they had to use his phone for one of the scenes. Mm-hmm. So he had to get out. He had to leave the apartment and get lost. But they needed his phone. So he had to go across the street to the park and just sit in the park without a phone, without any connectivity.
Yeah, what do you do? Yeah.
He said he was completely lost. I was like, how 80s of you to just sit in a park. And he was like, yeah, he was looking out. He tells the story obviously better, but I was like, that's so wild that we would be totally bothered by something like that now in our lives. But hey, we all would. I can't even judge him. All right, here we go. Here are the highlights of that. If you want the entire interview, folks, you're on our YouTube page, jump to our YouTube if you're listening right now, and you can watch the entire thing. The guy's a great guy. I can't wait to have him back on the show. Alan Emrys coming up now. All right, brother. Man, that's 6 straight actors, actresses, filmmakers that we've gotten to chat with.
You've got to chat with, not me. Yeah.
No, it's a team effort here, brother. I have one maybe lined up for next week, but okay. I'm hoping to keep the streak going. I'm hoping. But if not, we'll get back on those when we keep it. I keep texting Hanks, and he just hasn't responded yet. Maybe he's busy. Maybe not.
Yeah. You need to lose the gloves, and then he'll post it on socials, and you guys can reconnect.
Isn't it weird how many gloves he finds randomly on the ground? Doesn't know. Follow Tom Hanks.
Maybe join a typewriter enthusiast club as well. Maybe you'll find him on their message boards.
We know too much about Tom Hanks. We're going to take a quick break and be right back. Superhero Secret Cinema was out this week. Buddy, I'm starting to see the beginning of the end for this game. I love it.
Yeah. Well, you got a couple people who are just too keen on it. They're right there every week.
Yeah, and maybe that's a factor. Maybe because they're responding with the answer publicly instead of DMing us. Other people were like, "Oh, they already got it," and they don't.
That's true.
I'm hoping, this week's Superhero Secret Cinema. I felt it was kind of an easier one, and I walked the line. So here's the deal. We've been trying to do the synergy thing. So I was like, all right, Hubie Halloween, we got a ton of actors in it. Let me see if I can connect any of the actors in this movie to something they've done. So Michael Chiklis is in it. I was like, oh, perfect.
Oh yeah.
He's not in another film that has +3 actors that were also superheroes. Chiklis has done so much work, but he's done so much television, it kind of skews it. And then any of Adam Sandler and his crew, none of them played a superhero in any capacity.
Which is good. Thank God.
minus some voiceover work.
So that was gonna be my suggestion though going forward is maybe we can tweak the game a little bit and maybe expand to other characters, just using other characters these people have played, not just these superheroes, so we could say Indiana Jones and this or whatever.
Sure. We may have to do it.
And we may have to make it a requirement where it's not, don't comment, DM only or email only, whatever. Don't comment on the post, so that way people aren't being deterred if they know the answer's already out there. So
Scourge, Thor, Gamora, Steve, Trevor, Bruce Banner, those were your hints. These were all characters played by actors that starred in the movie Star Trek, which you nailed right away. Folks that know me and know our show, or know me personally, know my last name is Steve It has an R at the end of there, and so I did everything. Buddy, I was ready to hit post on it, and then I double-checked, and I looked, and autocorrect changed Steve Trevor's name to Stever Trevor, which I was like, holy cow. I almost thought about leaving it just for fun, but either way. So Bart, Sam, you guys both commented. You got it accurate. Well done on you folks. You get your usual. It seems like a weekly thing here.
Yeah.
Shout out to you guys. You're back on top of things. And we'll still stick with the superhero, but you're right. Maybe we can tweak it because there's a couple of guys in there that played pop culture characters. Maybe more pop culture characters. We can go that route. Maybe if that's helpful. If not, maybe you guys just got to step up your game and try and figure out the old cinema here. All right, on to the casting couch.
All right. I only had two things really of note. First one being, this actually broke yesterday, Gal Gadot. Gal Gadot is going to be in Cleopatra. They're doing a new version of Cleopatra, directed by Patty Jenkins, and this is going to land at Paramount, which is weird with the history of Cleopatra. This is really considered one of the biggest flops in history, and apparently this was like a bidding war to get this project. And I'm like, why? Didn't you guys learn last time how big of a flop this movie was? Why do it again? But whatever. I mean, I like the Gadot, and I think Patty Jenkins is a good director, so I guess we'll see how it turns out.
They're turning into a Michael B. Jordan and
Coogler, yeah.
Dan Coogler, which has bred success. The two of them seem to be successful together. The next Wonder Woman looks like it should be good. I don't know. But to me, this isn't too far away from Wonder Woman. I feel like without the powers, it's. I don't know. When I thought, I was like, all right, I kind of know what she looks like in there, but we'll see. We'll see what kind of story they come for it.
It's going to give her a chance to get into some nice costuming and things like that, so that'll be interesting.
Right.
The other thing I saw was the Resident Evil reboot movie that we're getting. They've cast some people there. So Kaya Scodelario, who was in Crawl, one of my favorite movies of last year, and Hannah John Kamen, who was in Ant-Man 2, I think, Ant-Man and the Wasp. She was the ghost character. Mm-hmm. They have both been cast as the leads in this one, and they're playing characters from the original game series. So this is cool because the original movie series, they didn't feature some of these characters, and I think it was only maybe the first movie or two really were based on the games, and then from there they kind of went off on their own thing. So this seems to be much more based in the video game lore, so hopefully fans of that will appreciate this a little bit more. Also in the movie are Robbie Amell and Neil McDonough, so for our CW fans out there, you may recognize those names. So yeah, I don't know, maybe Resident Evil, I feel like maybe there needs to be a little more time before going back to Resident Evil, but if they do it in a different way, different presentation than what the Mila Jovovich movies were, then maybe it'll have success.
Could be a first watch rewatch. I've never seen any of them.
I think I've only seen the first one. I don't think I've bothered with the rest of the series, to be honest.
Gotcha. Morning Show Season 2 is added Greta Lee and Rory O'Connor. This is notable because they're younger. They're much younger, and they're going to be like playing YouTube stars and TikTok stars, so seems like they're going that way. That's still a miss, and I had the Apple Plus, so maybe I'll have to that so that way.
Yeah, I've heard good things, and they got some Emmy love just recently too, so.
Luke Kirby plays Lenny Bruce on Marvelous Miss Maisel. And we're finding out this kind of happened last season, and they said it happened accidentally where his character people have been wanting more and more. Next season, season 4, you will see a lot. He's getting bumped up to more of a regular. So I
was gonna say I almost rather watch that. I would rather watch a Lenny Bruce show than Marvelous Miss Maisel. So that's interesting.
He's great, you sexist. He's fantastic in it. So I'm happy that they do it. I'm curious though if they're going to be pushing the romantic angle or just him. I hope. I'm not down with them pushing the romantic angle with them. I would hope.
Well, I just think, and I wasn't trying to be sexist with it. I just think that he has a much more interesting story in real life. So
I was just teasing, folks. Please don't hold me to my accusations. Real Housewives of New York. Ebony K. Williams has been cast for next season. Ooh. Why is that notable? She's the first black actress or person, I guess, to be in the Real Housewives.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Which I don't know why that seemed like really.
Real Housewives of where?
New York. New York.
Oh, really? That's surprising.
Yeah. And I abbreviated something, and I don't remember what I abbreviated, so we're skipping over that one. That sucks. The last one for me is Allison Williams is going to be working on Blumhouse again. She's going to be in Megan. And I don't know, do you know anything about the story of Megan? James Wan has written up this story, pushing it forward. I think... So she is she's tech savvy, and she's inventing these dolls that can interact with kids. And then she winds up adopting her niece to something, from what I got from the story. But then, in true Blumhouse fashion, something goes wrong with these mechanical dolls.
Okay. Sounds kind of child's playish in a way.
Very much so. Very much so. Man, I legit I shorthanded and abbreviated another one, and I have no idea what it was. So I'm sorry,
Yeah.
folks. Next week when I remember that, we'll have to drop it there. All right, off the casting couch and on to a podcast recommendation. This is mine this week. I finally have one here. My baseball team is all done. Don't have to watch them anymore. I'm not sure why I'm wearing this shirt right now. My
I
hockey.
didn't want to say anything. I know you had a hard weekend, so I didn't want to say anything.
No, I had a rough weekend of sports. Listen, my
Yes.
favorite hockey player of all time decided to now play for the most hated hockey team that I hate or whatever. That sucks. My college football team that I loosely root for lost to its biggest rival. Pro football team, they choked away. Yanks are out. It's been rough. Listen, the Knicks have as many wins right now as all the other New York sports teams combined since the COVID era happened. So
Oh,
that
wow.
sucks.
I just want to give you the weekly update that the Browns are 4-1, so I just want to tell you that.
Boom! Get on them brownies.
First time that's happened since I was 13 years old, buddy.
What's crazy, since you plugged in your computer there, it has funked up your screen and you're frozen.
Yeah. I'm having issues on mine as well with that, so that's weird. Yeah, I am here, though.
Okay, awesome.
Hello.
Yeah, we might. There it is. That's better. There, you moved it a little better. You're kind of moving. All right, awesome. What are the odds of that? That you add power to it and then it makes it not work? Okay, I understood that reference! Exclamation point. That is the podcast that I'm recommending this week. They're new. They've only been on about a year. They got about 40-ish episodes. They are essentially our show. Take out the reviews. They go over your Hollywood news. They talk about a lot of pop culture things. They definitely dive into the comics, talk a little gaming as well. But they do everything that we essentially do here, but just minus kind of the movie reviews where they designate that. Rob and Ross are their names. They are based out of Ireland, and they have thick, heavy Irish accents. Now you know why I like the show. But they're good. Their chemistry is great. They're funny. They jab each other all the time and poke fun of each other and then have a good time. You can tell that they're having a lot of fun while they're recording. Now, a fun little shtick they do almost every week is they'll find something the other one loves, So I will quiz you about Pulp Fiction. And out of 10, to see how many you get right. You will then adversely quiz me about Superman. And then we'll just see who gets the most right, and then the next week we'll move on, and then they just kind of keep a running tally who got the most right about something they claim to love. You know what I mean? So it's kind of fun.
Sounds fun, yeah.
I understood that reference. It's available on most of your podcasting platforms. Check them out. I like it.
Nice.
On to the trailer talk.
All right, yeah. I think you said it in our text. There was 3 kind of big trailers this week, I think. And then I threw in a couple other ones that I just wanted you to check out just for sake of discussion. Let's start with the first one I think you're probably most excited for, maybe, is News of the World. We got a first look at that. Tom Hanks.
Oscar time. Here you go, Tommy. We're going to try and grab another.
You think so?
I think that's the angle here. That's kind of the style of filming it looks like. What's the remake? I couldn't think of it when I watched it, and I should have looked it up. The Western.
310 to Yuma.
No, what's his name? Where he's got the girl.
I
can't think of the darn name of it.
Missing or something? Is that what you're talking about, the Ron Howard thing?
Nah, the guy that was in Iron Man, he was Killmonger in Iron Man, and then he rode the horse. He was holding the girl as he was riding the horse. The horse died.
True Grit.
True Grit. Yeah. I don't know. It kind of gave me a little bit of that vibe, like where he's trying to escort the girl across the country, and people are trying to take her or what have you. When have we ever seen Tom Hanks fire a shotgun, by the way?
Yeah, well, I mean, he kind of reminded me of like Road to Perdition-y Tom Hanks here, which is kind of cool. I like that. And it's Paul Greengrass directing, which, he's a pretty good action director, so that should be interesting. It reminded me of The Searchers, the old John Wayne movie, and I love John Wayne, that Searchers movie. And like I said, I mentioned a couple other movies there, 310 to Yuma, The Missing, there's a couple movies there that kind of was reminiscent of. So we'll see. I don't know if it's at that Oscar quality. For me, we'll see. Maybe once I see the full movie, but I hope you're right.
Yeah. True. We shall see.
Did you get a chance to watch the trailer for Batman?
Yes, I did.
How ridiculous does this look? But I still want to watch it. I think it looks fun. Mel Gibson playing Santa Claus, and he pisses off a kid, and the kid puts a hit out on him, and Walton Goggins is our assassin who's going after Santa Claus.
I feel hey, you're right. This looks horribly great. And
Yeah.
I feel like someone pitched this idea and pitched it to Gibson, and they're like, oh, okay, so we'll do something like campy, whatever. And they're like, no, we're gonna go dark. We're gonna
Yeah.
like really buy into this is what's happening. There's a hitman trying to kill Santa, and we're just gonna really push for it. So I want to watch it.
Yeah, yeah. I think it should be fun. Something along the lines of like Bad Santa, one of those, like an adult comedy, maybe a classic Halloween Christmas movie. We'll see. I don't know. I just still wonder about Mel Gibson. Can he be back and mix it again? You know?
Yeah. And when have we seen Santa hold a shotgun?
Yeah.
2 in a row. I got it.
All right. We also got the teaser trailer, not a full trailer necessarily for Mank, but it actually showed us quite a bit, flash kind of style. But a bit. What did you think about the first look at Mank?
Yeah, you mentioned the teaser for it, and I watched the trailer, and I was thinking, did I just watch the wrong thing? Because this felt like a trailer. Even
Yeah, I
though,
think it was like a minute and a half long. Like
yeah,
that is a trailer to me.
yeah. Maybe these other 4-minute trailers need to cut it down a little bit. But, man, I'm in. I think it looks great.
Yeah, and spoiler coming up for our Spotlight series, but we're going to be looking at Gary Oldman. We've already looked at David Fincher, so I think we're excited for this movie. They pushed it back a little longer than I thought. I thought it was going to be an October release, but they've put it December 4th, I think was the release date. So
Mm,
to me, that just means they're playing it for Oscars, and I hope so. David Fincher deserves an Oscar. Maybe this will be one that he finally gets it for.
agreed.
All right, so then we moved on to a couple other ones that weren't necessarily like big movies, but I just wanted you to check them out. What did you think about Black Bear?
Black Bear was
This is the Aubrey
Aubrey
Plaza
Plaza.
one.
This looks wild. I really want to see it.
I feel like at the beginning the trailer was like, okay, it's just whatever, but then they kind of throw like a little bit of a twist in there, where it's like a movie within a movie kind of thing happening.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'm in, and I love Aubrey Plaza, and I hope to see her do more. Obviously she was known for Parks and Rec and just being kind of silly, but I think she's a really good actress, and I've seen her in some other stuff that I've been really impressed with. Again, Ingrid Goes West. If you've never seen that, check her out there. She's really good.
Yeah, folks, definitely watch this trailer because there's some questions you have after it. Like, wait, is he married to that girl, or is he married to that girl, or is this a movie, or is it not like? I think that's what
Yeah,
this movie's going to be about, and so
yeah,
I'm in.
looks cool. It was released at Sundance back in January, and it's coming out December 4th. All right. What about the trailer for Come Away? Now, this one actually came to me from my son. My son told me, he's like, I saw an ad for this trailer. Have you ever seen this? And I was like, no, I didn't know anything about it. So he sent it my way. What did you think?
Which one was this?
This is the Angelina Jolie and
Oh,
David
right.
Oyelowo, and it's kind of a mixing of worlds between Peter Pan and Alice in Wonderland.
So I've never been on the Alice in Wonderland train. I've never enjoyed any of those stories. And Peter Pan, we've talked about this many times, how it's just been done to death. But
Hmm.
I don't know. This looks like an interesting take on both, and combining both and making them siblings going into those worlds. I don't know. I was kind of intrigued.
Agreed, and it has a pretty decent cast, like I said, with
Mhm.
Angelina Jolie, David Oyelowo. It's got Clark Peters, Gugu Mbatha Raw, Michael Caine. So a lot of good people involved in it. It's only 94 minutes, and it comes out November 13th. I'm moderately intrigued as well. Just like you said, the melding the two fantasy worlds, I think, could work together in a new way we haven't seen before. What did you think about Chick Fight? This was with what's her name? I'm sorry, Malin Ackerman, right? Malin Ackerman, Bella Thorne, Alec Baldwin.
So it opens up and you're thinking, okay, this is going to be a girls' fight club, but then she references Fight Club in it. So
Yeah,
that helped me realize, it's okay. They're owning that's kind of what this very similarly is to. Baldwin as a physical trainer, okay, I guess so. But man,
yeah,
Malin
true.
Ackerman, her eyeballs are all of those scenes, like I don't know, her eyeballs were just standing out. I was like, holy crap, that lady has some blue eyeballs. Anyhow, it could be fun. I don't know. I
Yeah,
wasn't hating it.
this is one of those ones that falls into that red box thing where they like have been releasing movies straight to their
Ah,
service. So I don't know. I don't know if that's a good sign or not, but it looked kind of fun. I like Malin Ackerman, and
gotcha.
so we'll see.
Cool,
Now,
cool.
what about 355? This was the last one I threw your way this week.
It is 355, folks. It is not the 355. It is not the 355. It's the three. I saw Jessica Chastain go off on Twitter the other
Really?
day. correcting people like, folks, just so you know, it's the 355. I'm in. It doesn't look like it'll be amazing, but it was interesting.
I
Maybe,
mean, what a cast! I mean,
yeah,
it basically looks like like a serious Charles or like the female Expendables, something like that. Like, let's get a huge cast of great female actresses. So, and they're good actresses, not just action stars. So Jessica Chastain, Lupita Nyong'o, Penelope Cruz, Diane Kruger. I saw Sebastian Stan pop up in there as well. It looks kind of fun, different
mhm.
spies from all over the world, different regions of the world, all female characters being badass.
Sure.
Directed by Simon Kinberg. He hasn't had the best, career as far as being a director. He's written a lot of scripts, but I don't think he's really directed much. I think he did Dark Phoenix, which was not a big hit for him. So we'll see. We'll see how this works out.
There you go, folks. That's 7 trailers, each and every one of them we pretty much recommend and say that we're gonna watch in some capacity or another. So I hope you guys are on board there.
Yeah, and I feel like, I send some of these your way, and they're not necessarily the mainstream ones everyone's talking about. So I want people to kind of know about some projects, and maybe it's something that piques their interest.
Something that piques my interest is alcohol, and I want to know about what alcohol you've been drinking lately, buddy. How about some What's in the Glass?
All right, so I recently came into possession of a couple beers from a friend of ours at work. I don't think he listens to the show, but I hope he does. Maybe he does. Jeff, thank you so much for the beers.
Son of
And
a...
he recommended he recommended a beer to me that's kind of local to him, and I haven't had a chance to get up that way. This is the Cushwa Brewing Company, and they are in Williamsport, Maryland, which is kind of near like Hagerstown, I think, between like Frederick and Hagerstown. If you have that way.
Okay.
And they're kind of one of the up and comers as far as like rivaling, big IPAs. And so one of the ones I wanted to recommend is their False Dichotomy, which is a Northeast IPA style, so very much like your Boston style IPA, and very hazy and a little fruity taste to it. It's a 6.2%. He gave me, I think, 3 different IPAs, and that was probably my favorite of the 3. So just wanted to shout them out as a local brewery to check out Cushwa up in Williamsport, Maryland.
Beautiful. I like it. We're going to take a quick break, folks, and be right back. All right, man. Listen, folks, if you're on our Patreon, we have 4 different tier levels. You can join them today, $1, $5, $10, or $15. And, all of the levels give you different perks, more and more and more. You get shout outs on the show weekly as we try and put them out there. You get the bonus content, of course. You get merchandise that we mail your way or hand to you if we see you in person, whatever. And then, the other force us to review a film that you love and you just want us to watch, or that you hate and want us to watch. And
or
then there's
we
other
hate.
Yeah. Or if you go next level, you can then be on the show. We had Chris, he did that, and he picked a topic and we all debated that together, brought that up. That was Best Irish Films. That was back in March. And so all of these things can happen for you. You just join our Patreon, and it's at your disposal. And we're down, man. We'll interact with you and all that kind of fun stuff. So one thing that we got going on, a good buddy of ours in real life and in podcast life, is Shy, and he loves this movie Cats. And he jumped up the Patreon level. He's been a patron from day one, but he jumped up his financial level, and we appreciate that very much. And said, "That's it, boys. I'm forcing you to watch it, jumping up to that God level just to make you guys watch it." So we did this. And I haven't been able to find Cats to be able to watch it. And I kept looking. I'm like, all right, I got to do this because, I feel bad we've been pushing. It's been my fault for delaying on Shy. Finally, on Thursday, I was like, you know what? $14.99. Let me just buy the darn thing. Hey, maybe it'll be good, and I'll buy it. I love musicals. Why not give this thing a whirl? So I bought it. I watched it. My thoughts on that, you guys will come out with later when we do the episode about Cats. That was Thursday. Friday, Tone, what came out on HBO Max for free?
Cats.
Fucking Cats!
I think I was texting you last night. I was like, oh, Cats is on there. If you haven't, I wasn't sure if you watched it on there or what. So sorry that you paid the money and it was free the next day to you. So that sucks.
Memories of my $14.99. That's gone now. I was like,
you got rum tuggered on that one, buddy.
All right, let's get into Hollywood news.
Okay, let me start us off with the news because I told you I wasn't going to do a box office thing this week, and I'm still not going to, but I did want to tell you that we have a new box office champion this week. Tenet has been dethroned for the number 1 spot. Number 1 movie this weekend, War with Grandpa.
Unbelievable. I've heard some god awful reviews of it. I was thinking about checking it out, and then I heard some really bad stuff about it.
Same. It's one of those things. It's like, why? Robert De Niro, Uma Thurman, like, why are you guys in this movie? It does not look that great. But I think it's one of those things where it's just families are, maybe some families are finally trying to go out and do things like this, and they feel safe enough to go to the theater. That's a good sign to me, that if you put something out, people are going to go. And that's part of the problem is there isn't product for people to go see. There's like a weird balance where, Hollywood doesn't want to put out these big money movies because they're going to lose money on them, but people are willing to go if you just give them something to watch. So War with Grandpa is number one, $3.6 million, 2,200 theaters. So good on them for taking advantage of a light time in the box office right now to knock Tenet off. Christopher Nolan read that this morning. Pissed.
That's true.
All right. Otherwise, for me, a couple things, not much here. Jurassic World Dominion has moved to June of 22 now. They said that it wasn't really anything to do with only. Well, I think they said they have 3 weeks left of production, so it will be done in time. But it's getting too crowded now in 2021 with all the things moving around, and they didn't see it as advantageous for them to open when they were going to. 22. Another movement was Soul. Soul is going to be on Disney Plus on Christmas Day for us. And guess what? You don't have to pay the extra money like you did for Mulan. So that's awesome. I cannot wait to watch Soul. I've heard a lot of people say it should be Best Picture nominated, possibly the Best Picture of the year, possibly, our first animated Best Picture. Wouldn't that be cool to have back-to-back years, our first our first foreign language and then our first animated? That'd be awesome.
What a decision by Disney here to not only release it to Disney Plus, but then to release it for free. If you have the Disney Plus, obviously. That's a huge decision because I feel more folks were interested in Soul than Mulan going into this year. So you would think they would have made more money off of that, but they must really feel this is an Oscar player for them to say, you know what, Christmas Day, we're just going to drop it for you guys. Here you go. Have at it. Good on Disney.
That's it. Yeah, I cannot wait. So we will obviously have a review the next episode of Soul. So look forward to that. Did you get a chance to catch up with the SNL? I caught up. I finished last week's episode, and then I did watch this week's episode. Did you get a chance?
I watched the section that a coworker of ours sent to us on a group thread that claimed to be hilarious. I don't know what he watched because I didn't find it to be hilarious. But either way, that was the only portion of it that I watched. I didn't see the open, and then I heard that the open was god-awful. True? Yes?
The opening was very similar to the last week. They've done the same thing 2 weeks in a row. Like, let's look at the debates. Let's make fun of the political stuff, whatever. Yeah. So this week they did like the whole fly on Pence's head, whatever, and skewed that. It wasn't as funny. I don't know, whatever. Even already the second episode, I feel like they're losing a little bit of their kind of, they get on these. Usually this happens every year with this, and the first couple episodes are good because they have stuff kind of stocked up, but then they kind of slowly lose their steam. So we'll see. But the interesting thing this week, two things to note from the episode was they had originally a different guy scheduled for the musical act, and they had to cancel it because he was posting stuff on his about him being out and about at parties and bars with no masks on, and SNL said, nope, that's against our protocols. If you're going to be in our studio, this and that, we're not going to have you. So they canceled him, and Jack White stepped in and took over as the musical act, which was great because I love Jack White.
Sure.
He did a great job. Did two songs. He did a White Stripes song, and he did one of his own songs. He also did a little mini, like, Eddie Van Halen kind of tribute during one of his songs, which I thought was cool.
Cool.
But then also something that came out of this week's episode was controversy. Bill Burr did his little monologue and was very much talking about, like, cancel culture and things like that, and just saying some kind of insensitive things. And I saw there was a little bit of, uproar online about the things he was saying. So interesting.
Okay.
Interesting. A lot of stuff about race, gay stuff, things like that. And so we'll see what happens with Mr. Bill Burr. Maybe he brought his own cancel around.
Okay, yeah, that was the part that I was seeing got poo-pooed, and then I saw the Fly with Jim Carrey, which I thought was not funny. But okay, gotcha.
No, I agree. Yeah, no. That was it. I just wanted to bring that up. Kind of cool, interesting things with SNL this week. That was really all the news I had. It was pretty slow this week. Do you have anything else?
Two things to add. One, Obi-Wan series for Disney Plus that begins filming in March. They now have that on the schedule to start their filming in March, so that's good. At least we're moving forward. We're getting that done. And the other thing, you sent this to me actually, was that Buffalo Bill's house. It's available for sale from Silence of the Lambs.
Creepy.
Only $298 thou. It does come with the pit and a full supply, 1 year supply of lotion to rub on itself. That part's
That's
true.
awesome. Is that true?
No, no,
That would
that
be
part's
awesome.
not
Real estate agent was like, here's some shit to go with it.
It's in Perryopolis, Pennsylvania, which is about a 3-hour drive from me from DC. So if you wanted to buy that, buddy, and commute to work, it's about 3.5 hours every day.
Okay, we can
Not
do that,
bad.
and then we
Yeah,
can make a little podcast studio. We can do it, yeah.
yeah, podcast studio down like in the pit, like
In the
down.
pit, yeah. We can make it, yeah. We can make it make money. We can make it a tourist thing. So the
Just
tuck. I could do the tuck every week and stand in front of the mirror. Good.
it's like 45 minutes south of Pittsburgh. So,
Oh, okay. Okay.
so there you go. Only
Yinzers.
298.
So if Yinzers are interested, you can buy that.
There's a
You didn't
Sheets
mention
right
your
down the
other news.
road.
You were pretty excited about,
Tell me. I'm forgetting.
or not excited about. You were sad about Broadway. Broadway shutting down longer,
That's right. That's
all the way
right.
to May.
Yeah. Completely shut. We were hoping for January, but now it's not until May, which was, you know what's really weird? The Michael Jackson show that was supposed to come out last year and then it got pushed, whatever, they immediately were on Instagram, like, don't worry, folks, May 1, our previews will start. We'll be ready to rock. I was like, all right, you could have waited a day before being excited about.
I saw, I think they're doing like a Hamilton thing too. They Lin-Manuel about it. Like there's a contest to be kind of one of the first people back in the seats to see Hamilton when it comes back on Broadway. So.
Geez, if you get those tickets, it must be nice. Must be nice. Done with the Hollywood news, on the DC discussion.
I got nothing. I'm out. This is all you. I have no news.
Washington on your side. The Flash movie. Heavy rumor is that Gal Gadot will be the one playing Wonder Woman in that Flash movie. I don't like if they do it how Flashpoint should happen. That's exactly what should happen. I can't see why it would be any different.
They could bring on what's her name, Linda Carter, and have like one scene with her. That'd be cool.
That actually would be a pretty awesome. Wonder Woman 84, Hard Stance, came out this week. Will not go to streaming. We will wait and wait and wait so that we can put that into theaters.
I mean, I feel like we heard the same thing with Soul originally, and now they're putting that on Disney Plus. So who knows? Who knows?
Biggest news of the week I saw was that the Green Lantern is getting a television series on HBO Max. This will not be focused on Hal Jordan. This would be Kyle Rayner. This would be Jessica Cruz. This would be Jon Stewart. They will not be really doing the old Hal Jordan type thingy. So intriguing, yeah, because they still do have Green Lantern Corps, like way back in the where they're trying their lineup of movies they want to make. I guess have they scrubbed that, and this is going to be the Green Lantern Corps? They're just turning it into a series on HBO Max.
I don't know, because I feel like we announced that this was happening before, but we didn't have like the details about who the focus would be. So I don't know. We'll see. Or maybe they're going to do synergy and kind of go from TV to movie, like Marvel has teased that they're going to be doing. So
done with DC, onto our Marvel Minute.
I only had one thing really I found on Marvel this week, and that was that Disney Plus has now organized your non-MCU Marvel movies into its own category called Marvel Legacy. Ooh. So those are Marvel Legacy films, your X-Men, your Fan Four Stick, things like that.
Oh, okay. All right. Nice that they have their own category. Sure. Let's see. The only things I have are possibles and rumor as well. There's a rumor that Luke Hemsworth, that's the third brother, right? He's heavy rumor to be the next Wolverine, to take over as the next Wolverine. I guess I can say it.
Okay, whatever. Sure.
Stick with good-looking Australians. That's what we're just going to do for this character, I suppose.
Yeah. That usually works.
The Spideyverse, we've been talking about this, and I don't think it's going to go away anytime soon. There's more validity to these rumors where it's going to get messed up, and WandaVision messes it up, and Doctor Strange then comes in and fixes it. But when we do have this little Spideyverse thing happening here, that's when in Spider-Man 3 we might see Venom, Tom Hardy will show up, and we might see Hugh Jackman even show up for a quick cameo as Wolverine. That could be wild.
Yeah, I don't know. I keep reading all these different rumors and these different things. It's got to be like so much. I don't know if I want it. I don't know if I want all these like different people, different. It's crazy. Maybe one or two little cameos, but don't overdo it. I don't know.
Plus, he already had the best cameo in that X-Men First Class when McAvoy and what's his name, like they found him at a bar and they try and talk to him. And he's like, "Go fuck yourself." And then like that was the best cameo they've probably had of any of them outside of Stan Lee. So we'll see. This Spider-Verse thing is blowing up insanely, and it could, like you just said, get to be too much. Last thing I had is that they are looking for multiple Deadpool films. Like we don't want him just for one more, or to be just in that X-Force thing that we're gonna do. I don't know, man. I guess I'm a minority here. Deadpool 2 wasn't great for me, and I kind of liked the idea of him being in like the X-Force thing. If
Yeah,
you're
I
talking about,
still want to see X Force. Yeah, definitely. And I wouldn't do more than maybe one more regular Deadpool movie. I mean, yeah,
sure,
I'm the same. I think I'm actually in a real minority because I kind of like the second one better than the first one, and I think it's because they added more people, and I think it kind of took away from him just being the main.
mm,
Like with him being just the main thing, the first one, it kind of grew out tired on me. Whereas the second one, at least had some other characters to kind of Domino and whatever, and I like that. So
sure. I think I will agree with you if then we get that next movie, which sucks to say. Like I'll like this movie if they follow it up properly, but either way. All right,
yeah.
done with, since we're wrapping both comics, man, how close are we to like some of these comics not touching theaters anymore? So much is going to HBO Max, so much is going with the Marvel stuff to Disney Plus. We might not see as many big films where they can just kick it down to the streaming.
Well, and I mean, maybe that's the way of the world and the way things are going with, theater chains possibly closing, things like that. Who knows if
Yeah.
the theatrical experience is even going to be able to survive, this year. So I don't know. It's intriguing, and they're really swinging for the fences on a lot of these projects between Flashpoint, WandaVision, Doctor Strange, Spider-Verse, all these things are going real big cast and all that stuff. So I personally think maybe we're getting to the end of this like superhero kind of, I think it's about to bust, where
Hmm.
all these movies are so huge, automatically huge money. Maybe this is kind of the tail end of that, and maybe it's time for something else to take back over as the big movie.
Yeah. True all around. All right, all done with everything. It's time to go forward.
All right, going forward this week, kind of a big week again. So I'm excited, and I think we're going to have a lot of stuff to talk about next week. I already talked about it a little bit earlier, but Lovecraft Country will have its finale this weekend. That and The Vow. I don't know if you're still keeping up with The Vow, but we'll have thoughts on both of those shows next week after they wrap up. So that's
Yeah.
this weekend. The Trial of Chicago 7 is the big release for the week for me. That comes to Netflix this Friday, the 16th. I cannot wait to watch this movie. I've heard
Same.
great things about it. So I'm hoping I get a chance to watch it this weekend, and we will have a review for you next week. As well as, like I said earlier, I'm going to watch the new Prime Blumhouse releases this week. They're Evil Eye and Nocturne are the name of those two, so I will try and catch up with them and have reviews next week. There's also a new documentary. It's been out for a couple months, but it's coming to Prime, and I read an article about it. I saw some people talking about it. I want to check it out. It's called Most Beautiful Thing, and it's about these team of black men in Chicago, on the south side of Chicago, that used to be in gangs, and then now they form a rowing team as a way to like get off the streets and do something else.
Wow.
And they made a documentary about them, and they end up kind of combining with the local police as well, and working with them and rowing with them. And then there's scenes of them kind of Chicago and the crime, and it looked really intriguing to me. So I'm going to try and check it out. If I get time, I'm going to check out most thing. As well as American Utopia is dropping on HBO this weekend. This is the new Talking Heads documentary kind of thing. It's directed by Spike Lee. It actually was a Broadway show that they did, and they think they performed some of it on SNL last season. So it was a Broadway show with the Talking Heads and directed by Spike Lee, and they're putting it on HBO. So I'm going to check that out as well. New family-friendly kind of Halloween movie coming to Netflix called Babysitter's Guide to Monster Hunting. A trailer for it looks all right. Looks like something I can watch with the kids, so we'll see.
Cool.
Honest Thief is hitting theaters. That is the new Liam Neeson movie, so we'll see. Maybe that'll be number one next weekend and dethrone War with Grandpa. We'll see. Hellstrom is hitting Hulu. This is that other Marvel kind of scary-looking Constantine show, so that comes out this week. And there's a new series dropping on Netflix with Burt Kreischer. Did you see this? Called The Cabin.
No.
Yeah, it's like him and his buddies up in a cabin, whatever, together. Him and Tom Segura, different
Oh.
comics. So I guess it's going to be a series, and different people per week will be in this cabin with Burt Kreischer. So we like the Burt. His comedy's growing a little tired, maybe, but we'll see. Maybe this will inject some new humor into it, and it might be interesting to see him with some of his other comedian friends. So that's also dropping this week.
I bet we see him
Anything else
drink
that you
lots of
saw?
beers.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. No, sir. Take Two podcast wise, we've got a new spotlight coming out this weekend. We hope you guys enjoy it. It is well in line with spooky season. One of the directors, most people probably put as the director of spooky season. That is the hint that I shall give. On the socials, Thursday, don't forget, that poll will be dropped. Get to vote on there, comment below, tell us your choices, and tell your friends, hey, jump on this poll and so that you can vote and get those votes up higher. We also have a bonus Patreon for you guys. Roy from the Realm is dropping a Patreon episode. That's his second Patreon drop for you guys. That comes out this Friday. The only way you can get that is if you are a Patreon subscriber, as low as $1 a month, all the way up to $15. $15, you get to tell us what to do. Crazy. Join today, patreon.com, Take Two Podcast. And then ratings and reviews. Folks, put out a rating and review. On your review, all right, 5-star rating, and then on your review, tell us your favorite film of all time. Something about the show, and then your favorite film of all time. That's my challenge. That's what I want in each one of these. It's just favorite film of all time is, and then we will obviously read the review on here, and then put out there, hey, Bill, and his favorite film of all time is Last Action Hero. All right, thanks, Bill. Appreciate it. Just to add a little pickup. That's all I was thinking about.
Okay.
But that's it, brother, for episode 209. Have a great night, everybody.
See ya.